Our other film that we're producing right now and filming in New York is my personal favorite, is Hello Darkness. And it's about a young man at the time in 1960, a true story about a man named Sandy Greenberg. And Sandy was 19 years old. He was tall, athletic, handsome. He had the world by its tail. He was going to Columbia, doing great, and he went blind. He went home to Buffalo, New York, where his parents lived. And he thought his life was over. His roommate, Arthur, came to Buffalo and said, "You're my best friend. I can't live without you." And he literally dragged Sandy, kicking and screaming, back to Columbia. He got a team of people to read to him, to take him to class. And Sandy, he slept 4 hours a night. He studied nonstop. He became class president. He graduated summa cum laude. He ended up going to Harvard to get a master's degree. He went to Oxford and got a PhD, came back to the States, became a presidential fellow under Lyndon B. Johnson. Then he became an inventor, an entrepreneur, a millionaire, and a philanthropist, all while blind.
And his friend Arthur had a career of his own.
Well, Arthur was supposed to become an architect, but thanks to Sandy, he didn't do that. Sandy reminded him that he had a very good singing voice. And he said, "You had a friend you sang with in high school," but Arthur was fighting with his friend, and Sandy said life was too short to forgive his friend, which Arthur did. And his friend wrote a beautiful song. And it actually starts with how Arthur used to greet Sandy. "Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again." And Sandy paid $400 for Arthur and his friend Paul to record that song. I don't know if you ever heard it.
Amazing.
Simon and Garfunkel.
Amazing. Yeah, those guys went out. And speaking of movies, of course, The Graduate, The Sounds of Silence and all those other beautiful songs. But that movie, Steve, it sounds like, I hate to use the term awards bait, but it sounds like a prestige project. It sounds something like The Miracle Worker, which was the Helen Keller story, or A Beautiful Mind, because it's a true story, but it's made for the movies.
It's more than The Miracle Worker. It's actually my goal. I have a few movies that I love from the 90s and early 2000s, movies like Good Will Hunting and Shawshank Redemption. And I always said, I want to make a movie that good. I want to make a movie that good. And this was the best script we'd ever read. We were literally, all of us, in tears when we read the script. It's an incredible story. I've told this story to dozens and dozens of people, and every one of them says, "I want to see that movie." Hopefully, we can get the right people behind it, and we would love to get a lot of people to see this movie. The thing about this movie, musical biopics, they do okay. They generally do okay. You think of A Complete Unknown, of the Springsteen one. They typically do okay. This is a little unusual because this movie really isn't about Simon and Garfunkel, although it is, because Art Garfunkel is one of the major characters, but it's really pre-Simon and Garfunkel. It's this incredible story of this blind man overcoming seemingly unsurmountable obstacles. And then on top of it, oh, by the way, this launched one of the greatest singing groups of all time. We're not doing it for the awards. If we get an award, great. We're doing it to make a great movie that inspires humanity. And Sandy Greenberg's story is inspiring. This really is a movie about Sandy Greenberg, who refused to be categorized as a blind man and said, "I'm going to be a human being, and I'm going to live my life as if I wasn't blind." And then he did it. And he listened to his list of achievements. Art is there too. Art is there supporting him, and he's supporting art. But it's about a beautiful friendship.
Yeah.
It's about a young man who refused to give up. And then on top of it, it's about the genesis of one of the greatest singing groups of all time.
Yeah.
I've been watching the dailies. In fact, I was watching some right before I came here, and it is amazing on the screen. The acting is great. Sam, who's playing Sandy, is doing a great job. Levon, who's the son of Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke, is playing Art. He's doing a great job. And we, of course, have the great Laura Linney. So amazing acting.
Tony Goldwyn is your director.
Well, Tony Goldwyn, everyone loves Tony, and I can see why, watching him masterfully direct this. Tony Spiridakis, who wrote the wonderful movie Ezra for us, is the writer, and I told him write an even better script than Ezra, and Tony did it.
You talked about Hello Darkness, and it's a period piece, and you're a believer in the arts and putting out great work, but you're also a business person. You're a businessman. So there has to be consideration sometimes where you look at stuff and say, well, wait a minute, we can't film here. We got to film there. How do you balance those two very different parts and sides of your brain?
With Hello Darkness, that was a big consideration for us. The budget was too high, and it remained too high, and I greenlit it anyway. We made it as a period piece, and it's just simply more expensive film to make. And if we end up losing money on it, that's okay if we make a great film. Now, we'd love to make money on it. However, this is a great story. It's it's a great script and a great story, and the world needs great films. The world needs inspiring films, and I'm hoping that this thing catches fire and we can make our money back. And if not, we tried. Life is not worth living unless you're going to go out there and try. And I've done that many, many times. I started my own company. I failed. I started again. I failed. Finally succeeded with Paylocity. And I've succeeded a few other times with a couple other companies. My attitude is you keep trying and you keep trying things, and some of those things will work and some won't. I know there's a lot of Simon and Garfunkel fans out there. I know there's a lot of Paul Simon fans out there. And I think there's a lot of people who want to see a movie that's inspiring like this. One other thing about the movie, which is really important, I'm donating 100% of my profits to help eradicate blindness. So whatever money I make on this film is not going to me. It's going, per my promise to Sandy Greenberg, to help eradicate blindness. I have a little story. Do you have time for that?
Absolutely.
So my mother's maiden name is Greenberg. She was born in 1940, 2 months before Sandy. She was born in New York City. And my mother didn't want to get married. My mother was a lovely young woman, but she had very thick glasses. And because of that, she didn't want to pass that gene on to us. She was so embarrassed, but she was very vain about her eyes. And she didn't want to pass on that bad vision to anybody else. So my mother didn't want to get married. Her maiden name was Greenberg. So here we have another Greenberg in New York City, so close. And remember, this is a story about blindness. My mother passed on her vision to me. I'm now 60 years old. I've never worn glasses, never had to. And so my mother had perfect vision. And what we found out many, many years later is that the reason she had bad vision was because of an early fever that she had when she was a baby. And so it's just a very interesting story that vision played such a big role in my mother's life, that her maiden name was Greenberg, and that she was born and raised, as was my father, in New York City. Really what we're showing in this film, in Hello Darkness, is the nobility of the blind, of Sandy as one particular man who happens to be blind. Sandy spent his whole life trying to help other blind people. He started a whole nonprofit. This is who we're going to donate the profits from the film to, so please help support us. Sandy's goal is to end blindness so nobody ever has to do and deal with what Sandy had to deal with. And he's put millions of dollars behind it. Hopefully we can be successful with this film and put millions more. That's the whole goal of Wayfarer, to show the nobility and the unity of every human being, that some of us have autism, some of us are blind, some of us are deaf, some of us are older, whatever thing that someone thinks makes us lesser, our religion, our race, our, color of our skin, all of those things, our nationality, those are just coincidences. And we are all part of one human family. And if we could learn to love each other universally, that would change the world. And so the way Wayfarer is changing the world is by showing the nobility of one person at a time, one film at a time. Will and Harper, Ezra, now with Hello Darkness, we're showing these very different human beings in very different situations, but showing the common thread through all our films is showing that each person is noble.
Perfectly said. Thanks so much, Steve.